What's up, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Voodoo Glow Skulls. We're going to listen to a tune it's not really a cover because the song is one of those standards, meaning we're going to listen to Voodoo Glow Skulls' Charlie Brown from their, 1995 album Firme, the English version. I mentioned it before. There's also a Spanish version of this, which is the same album. The album, cover or sleeve or case is brown instead of green. Once again, shout out to I mentioned it before, the band was founded by three Mexican-American brothers, the Casillas brothers, Eddie, George, or Jorge, and Frank. Frank was a singer for a long time in the band. Early 2010s, he left the band, and Efrem Alvarez of Death by Stereo and Manic Hispanic took over. And they've continued into recent times. Live in the Apocalypse came out only a few years ago, so shout out to the modern version of the band as well. But again, Firme is the first album I heard from them. I was really impressed by it. I saw them live once. It was an insane show. Yeah, they're just really fast, adrenaline-fueled punk-style ska music. Yeah, it's just fantastic. But like I said, we're going to listen to their version of Charlie Brown. And Charlie Brown, so far as I know, is one of those traditional composers, meaning there's no one on record as having written it. It was sort of, written and came about and sort of interpreted, or not interpreted, but adapted and developed as a song before the sort of modern songwriting credit and music sort of licensing industry arose. I think one of the most famous versions, I'm trying to remember if it's the Coasters. It's definitely one of those 50s, early rock and roll, rhythm and blues kind of groups. I don't remember if it's the Coasters. I know they did Yakety Yak, but there's the most famous version of Charlie Brown, I think, is from the 1960s, maybe the late 50s, and it has that kind of again, late rhythm and blues, or not late rhythm and blues, but the rhythm and blues that became rock and roll. Not the same as R&B, by the way. It's two distinct genres, although they do share a relationship. In any case, I think the most famous version of Charlie Brown is from that era, although I don't remember the artist. But this one, it's in the Voodoo Glow Skulls style. It's fast, it's ripping punk rock, but I think it has some horns in it. Although I do think, as I recall it, I feel like this is one of the more just straight punk rock numbers on the album. It's not, I don't think, as ska-like as some of the other ones. I could be wrong. Now that I say that, maybe there's a part at the end where it really does break into a ska rhythm. Let's get it. We'll find out one way or the other. So this is Voodoo Glow Skulls from their 1995 album Firme, which incidentally is on Brett Gurowitz's Epitaph label. And this is Charlie Brown. Why is everybody always picking on me? I do love the little horn riff. Everybody always picking on me. Oh yeah, it does. It does. Forget what I said. Did I mention I love the saxophone? Let's go. Why's everybody always picking on me? Brilliant. Yeah, it's just a really fun version. It's one of the shorter songs on the album. It kind of has that more punk rocky feel, even though, I sort of remembered right before we started that, wait, I think there is a section where it breaks into a classic kind of Voodoo Glow Skulls ska section. But the overall length of the tune is a minute and a half or something like that. So I think it does fit in more in kind of a punk rock idiom. But yeah, it's a cool version of the tune, as I said. Like, I enjoy that 60s version, and I think this is sort of like built out of whoever whoever did that version. I think this is built on top of that, or like based off of it is what I should say. But yeah, shout out to Voodoo Glow Skulls. I mentioned it before. I have a few of their albums. I have Baile de los Locos, and again, the more recent one, Live in the Apocalypse. But yeah, in a way, this will always remain my favorite because it's the first one I heard of them. You know how that is. Like, when you encounter a group, it's like a really exciting experience. And even if you like other material they make, the nostalgic sort of like primacy of that first album will always stand out. But yeah, let me know what you think of this tune. Other than that, I will see you next time. Peace.